2025. Can staff confirm that the Kansas Open Meetings Act required notice has been properly provided?
Yes, I can confirm the packet was posted and the required notice was provided.
Okay, thank you. Item 1.3, roll call.
I'll take roll. Commissioner Gillum,
Here.
Commissioner Sorrell,
Here.
Commissioner Walter Mangus,
Here.
Commissioner Compton,
Here.
Commissioner Gilmore, and Chair Martin.
Here.
So with 5 out of 6 commissioners present, we have quorum and we can proceed with business.
Okay, thank you. Item 2.1 is approval of minutes of the April 30th, 2025 regular meeting. If you want to take a few moments to look those over. If you have any questions, concerns, please ask now. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented from the April 30th, 2025 meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to item 3, new business. 3.1 is application CA 25-1.
Thank you. I will be presenting on behalf of staff today. So application CA 25-1 is filed by Hutton Building, requesting the approval of a certificate of appropriateness to allow the rehabilitation of the Pioneer President's Place, now going to be referred to as the RL Lofts property. The subject property is legally described as the school park in lots 6 through 10 on Mulberry Street between 7th and 8th Streets in the original town, now city of Salina. So the applicant in this case is Hutton. They are requesting a certificate of appropriateness for a rehabilitation project of the existing Roosevelt Lincoln School Complex. The site was originally platted as a school park as part of the original town of Salina, which was platted in 1862. The Lincoln School was constructed in 1915. It is a prairie-style architecture, and the architect was William Schmidt. And then the Roosevelt School was constructed in the early 1920s, and it is an English Revival style building, and the architect for that was Charles Shaver. So they were combined into the Roosevelt Lincoln Junior High until 2002, and this property was listed on the state and national registries in 2006 and 2007, respectively. So in 2004, 2005, the schools, which were now closed at that point, were adaptively reused to become senior housing. The non-historic additions to the buildings were removed as part of that 2004-2005 renovation, and the interiors were converted into 61 units for 61 apartment units for residents 55 or older. At that time, landscaping, gardens, and walking paths were installed within the central green space, and it was rezoned to a planned development district with specific setbacks and off-street parking and the like. And as I mentioned, in 2006, 2007, it was listed on the state and national register of historic places. That makes it eligible for state and federal historic tax credits. It also means that a certificate of appropriateness is required for any work requiring a building permit. And the Heritage Commission also is required to review all state and national registry places as part of a certified local government agreement that was renewed in 2022, which authorizes the Salina Heritage Commission to be the reviewing authority on historic properties on behalf of the state. So in this case, the applicant has applied for state and federal tax credits. So those tax credits, that application is reviewed by SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, and the National Park Service. We are conducting the review on the certified local government side, and basically doing a simultaneous review. But we have also reviewed the same materials that the state and National Park Service have reviewed, which we'll get a little more into. So the current proposal. So the applicant is proposing to renovate the existing apartment buildings, keeping the same number of apartment buildings and intending them to keep them for as affordable apartments. They are intending to restore the exterior historic elements, doing some minor tuck pointing and other repair work to the exterior facade. In addition, so in your staff report, you will find a extensive list of the work that is being done. So on pages 14, 15, 16, and 17 of your staff of the packet. So pages 5 through, but in your staff report, you will find a list of the work being done. In addition, you will find a matrix that was a part of your packet that identifies the character-defining features of the RO Lofts buildings and property and how they were impacted or, in many cases, not impacted as part of the proposed renovation project. So some key highlights that I want to cover as far as work being done. They're doing some structural repairs. So the columns and roof deck, there is some moisture damage to the existing buildings. And so that is being repaired as part of, not replaced, but they're doing minor non-abrasive repair work to the structure itself. The roofing is being replaced, but they're preserving the stone coping part of the roof. The windows, they're going to restore the existing historic window openings and windows with like-for-like replacements, and they're going to replace the non-historic windows with compatible aluminum windows. Doors, they're installing new exterior and interior doors matching the historic profiles of the existing doors. Masonry, as I mentioned, they're going to do some repointing and general cleaning of the buildings with the intent of doing it as non-abrasively as possible and maintaining the overall condition while improving some of the poor condition spots. Interior, they're installing new flooring, doing some painting, installing an ADA bathroom and fitness room, and then doing a laundry expansion on the first floor. In the application, they indicated that the only work being done in the rooms themselves, as I said, in 2004, 2005, they were renovated to have 61 apartments. They're still going to have 61 apartments, and a utility closet is going to be the only added element. But outside of minor repair work to the apartments themselves, the only addition is going to be that utility closet in the apartments themselves. And then on the site, installing a trash enclosure or replacing the existing trash enclosure, and then doing some minor landscaping, grading, and drainage improvements. So SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, as well as the National Park Service, reviewed this proposal as part of the tax credit application. So as part of the project team's state rehabilitation tax credit application, a rehabilitation plan for the interior and exterior renovations and repairs to the Roosevelt Lincoln School buildings was submitted to the Kansas SHPO for their review. On March 10th, 2025, the Kansas SHPO issued a letter to Hutton stating that the project scope of work as submitted in the Kansas Rehabilitation Tax Credit Part 2 application appears to meet the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation under the following conditions. And so Dustin, if you can go forward a slide. They had SHPO identified 3 conditions, and you will find those listed multiple times in your staff report. But they had questions about 3 items. So one was exterior lighting. So they wanted to ensure conformance with the standards. Examples of the proposed exterior lighting must be submitted for review as part of an amendment. There's no objection to the lighting being changed, but the new fixtures must be reviewed to ensure they are appropriate for the type of building and that they meet the standard. Number 2, the basement. So they're proposing to install a waterproofing barrier that will be applied to the exterior foundation wall to help with some of the water damage and to stop future water damage. So to ensure conformance with the standards, additional information was needed for the proposed materials and proposed installation of the waterproofing of the exterior foundation. And then finally, the interior lighting. So to ensure conformance, examples of the proposed interior lighting must be submitted as well as part of an amendment to their tax credit application for review by the State Historic Preservation Office. So after I conclude my presentation, we'll invite the applicant to touch on these specific conditions as outlined by SHPO and an update on those things. But that gives you an overview of what SHPO identified when they were conducting their review. So as part of a local review, staff reviewed the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation and identified 4 standards that they felt were, the entire list of standards is attached to your packet, but staff identified 4 that felt applicable to this renovation project. So number 1, a property shall be used for its historic purpose or placed in a new use that requires minimal change to the defining characteristics of the building and its environment. So in this case, the new renovation is not proposing to change any of the real defining of how it's currently being used and how it's currently operating. They're just repairing and enhancing the already existing use. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be avoided. So as part of the matrix that's attached to your packet, you will find that that careful attention was paid to the list of character-defining features, and they have outlined how those are either changing, being modified, or in many cases not changing at all. Number 5, distinctive features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a property shall be preserved. So they're doing extensive restoration work, but the intent is not to change any of the architectural character or design of the building. And when they are doing repair, doing non-abrasive repair to make sure to not further damage any parts of the building that weren't previously damaged by water or outside conditions. And then number 6, deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced when the severity of deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature. The new feature shall match the old in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities. And where possible, materials replacement of missing features shall be sustained by documentary, physical, or pictorial evidence. So throughout the state, the application they submitted to the state, as well as the application that they submitted to us, they have indicated that when possible, anything that's being replaced is being replaced with something that is in line with what is already existing or historic when applicable. So staff's analysis, Hutton's plans to renovate and restore the Roosevelt Lincoln buildings and property does not appear to conflict with any of the Secretary of Interior's standards for rehabilitation. Staff would ask the applicant to provide an update on the status of the listed SHPO conditions and how they plan to address them. And then we can go on to suggested. You can go 2 slides, Dustin, and go to suggested findings. But staff believes that the following potential findings may be incorporated to support the approval of the certificate of appropriateness. The proposed renovation project does not modify or negatively affect any identified character-defining features. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize the property will be avoided, and the distinctive features and finishes and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize the Roosevelt Lincoln buildings will be preserved. So with that, the board would have, or the commission would have, the following options in terms of this application. Option 1, you could approve a certificate of appropriateness based upon staff's suggested finding that the proposed building renovations will conform to the Secretary of Interior standards. Approval of a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed building renovation subject to any conditions that are approved by a majority of the Heritage Commission. You could postpone consideration to acquire additional information if necessary, or you could deny the certificate of appropriateness application as presented upon making findings that would support the denial of the proposed project. With that, staff would recommend option 2, that if the Heritage Commission concurs with staff's suggested findings, staff would recommend that the Heritage Commission attach the following condition to their approval of the requested certificate of appropriateness: that if there are any significant changes to the Roosevelt Lincoln renovation project as approved, Development Services staff will be notified to determine whether additional staff or Heritage Commission review will be needed. And so just to reiterate your role here, so you as the Heritage Commission are taking 2 actions as part of this application. Your first action is a certificate of appropriateness, because this is a local historic property that is requiring a building permit. So the Heritage Commission reviews the proposed renovations to ensure that nothing is being modified or changed. So that would be your first action, where we are recommending option number 2 with the condition listed. Your second action is, because this is a state and national historic property, because we are a certified local government, the Heritage Commission reviews those properties and proposed renovations on behalf of the state. And so staff would also recommend that, consistent with its state historic preservation law review responsibilities, that if the Heritage Commission deems it appropriate, the Heritage Commission should approve a separate motion finding that Hutton's project will not damage or destroy any character-defining features of the Roosevelt Lincoln property. So there are 2 separate actions that are similar, but that would be your action for today. And staff's available for any questions, and the applicant is here as well to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. I would invite the applicant up to the dais. If you'd like to let us know your name.
Hi. Yes. Kristen Anderson. I'm a design project manager over at Hutton here in town. And I have about 10 years of experience as an architect and have been taking over this permit and application process as it relates to the Pioneer Place, or RL Lofts as it's now being known as. So thank you.
Did you have any additional comments or
I
anything?
do just have some brief clarifications that I'd like to make. We are also replacing non-historic millwork and appliances items. That wasn't listed on there, but definitely wanted to let that clarification be known that millwork would be changed in the non-historic capacity. Any existing classroom materials or cabinet doors would be remained in place and treated under the Secretary of the Interior standards. So. Additionally, the historic windows that are wood at the property will remain in place, and those will be treated in place, preserved through the standards as well.
And would you be able to talk specifically to the SHPO conditions, the 3 that were listed?
So right now we have our First Amendment into the SHPO review process addressing the topics that were listed here. We are waiting for their response. So those items have been addressed and have been submitted. Exterior lighting, we have gone with the decision to the fixtures on the exterior lighting especially are okay in functionality and appearance. We want to not be wasteful. So what our strategy is to relamp those fixtures to provide new housing so that we can use modern technology, but the fixture and structure of the lamp itself will remain, and that goes for most and all exterior lighting. Interior lighting, we're using the same strategy, so in the corridors and primary spaces, we'll be using the fixtures in place and just relamping, so we're really maintaining that existing character that's already there. Within the units where they have new fixtures, ceiling fans, residential style lighting, we are replacing with new.
And then the waterproof layer to the foundation.
Yes, so in the packet that was submitted, we provided a detail and product information for how that would be addressed. The treatment would be non-visible. Essentially, we're doing a below grade treatment to apply a new damp proofing and water treatment there along the foundation wall. Installed per the manufacturer's instructions.
I've never been in the building. Is it like a full basement in the building that would require
Yes.
for the waterproofing?
So the basement isn't one that we would necessarily say is like occupiable. We wouldn't want the public down there, or it would be used more so for maintenance. And I believe that in the event of a storm, the corridors could be occupied. They are safe for that purpose. But yeah, exactly kind of that mid-tier finish to what those are currently looking like.
Mr. Roberts mentioned that this was you were going after both state and federal taxes on this one.
Yes.
So in terms of the SHPO conditions you received, I assume that those are MPS's conditions as well? And
Yes,
who's
they are very
reviewing-
similar to, they were very aligned in their responses. So
Okay,
we received
yeah.
responses for both.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think from our review, MPS reiterated the conditions that SHPO had applied.
Okay.
And wanted to know really the similar, exact same information.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the difference was SHPO broke out interior versus exterior lighting, and the other grouped them together.
Okay. I was just curious if it had gone through that process. Yes, but sounds like it has.
Yes. And we're actually working with the Heritage Group as a historical consultant on this project as well to make sure that we're meeting these standards and application processes at the state and federal level.
After going through that process many, many times, I know that both the state and MPS are very, very diligent in their reviews, so I can't imagine that our board would come up with anything that they would not find, so I trust their review.
All right. Is there any other questions for the applicant, or no? Was there any citizens?
I think. Do we have anybody on Zoom?
The only individual we have on Zoom is Matt Byram, if he has anything to share.
No, I'm with Hutton. I'm just observing.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt. Okay.
All right. I believe that's all we had for you. If
Thank
you
you.
had anything, yes. So I would open this up for discussion and an action on the board.
I have a question for Mr. Roberts. It does mention in here new signage on the property. I assume that is not our goal to review that.
No, so, sorry, my mic was turned off. They are proposing to install 2 ground signs that are located to the on the interior, so the courtyard facing side along or next to both the Roosevelt and the Lincoln building, similar to the signs for the Lee Loft buildings. Those are not impacting any historic or character defining features, the installation of those signs. So they will go to the design review board, and Dustin did just pull them up on the screen to give you an idea. So our intent was not to not show you, but the overall idea is that they really are not impacting a character defining feature, and that the design review board will review them tomorrow actually for compatibility with the design guidelines. So.
Yeah, so each of the buildings, if I can figure out how to drive this thing, has a ground sign out in front of it. So here's the Roosevelt sign, and it's the courtyard facing side where there's going to be a ground sign. There's going to be one in front of the Lincoln School as well, and this is what they look like. So they're a little over 2 feet in height and about 5 feet in width, so a little over 10 square feet apiece. And there's one for Roosevelt and there's one for Lincoln, and they both say RL Lofts with their respective buildings and addresses on the signs. And so there's one in front of Roosevelt and there's one in front of the steps at Lincoln as well, but those will be reviewed by the DRB.
And it is carved limestone, and then the bases are a brick masonry material that's similar to the buildings themselves. So they are similar in compatibility to the existing buildings. And as part of the plan development element to this, they've gone to the Planning Commission and will go to City Commission for approval to have the two ground signs. So the signs are kind of reviewed each step along the process. So.
All right. If we don't have any other questions or comments, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the certificate of appropriateness for the renovations as proposed in the applicant's packet, and if then any changes are made, that it be brought back before the board for review.
Okay.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. And just to clarify, that's for option 2?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And then we need to look at a second motion for that's consistent with the state historic preservation law, that Hutton's project will not damage or destroy any character defining features. I guess I would make a motion to add that in addition, as we discussed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys,
All right.
and you will be this is the second of a series of visits to the board. So tomorrow will be design review board, and then I'll go to City Commission here in a couple weeks. But
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is item 3.2, our annual business meeting, election of officers.
Yeah. So each year, every board has an election of officers. The Heritage Commission has full membership. So currently, the Heritage Commission has 6 appointed members, 5 present today, along with Josh Gilmore. And then the Planning Commission appoints a member annually to the Heritage Commission. Tom Sydow has served as the Planning Commission's representative on the Heritage Commission for the last year. And the Planning Commission will select a Heritage Commission representative at their annual business meeting, which is next week. And so after that, you will have full membership. There are 5 carryover members and then 1 appointed member, Tanya Compton, on the Heritage Commission. So the annual business meeting involves the election of a board chair and a vice chair for the coming year. Kyle Martin served as the chair last term and is eligible for another term as chair, and Maggie Gillum served as the vice chair this past year and is eligible for another term as vice chair. Heritage Commission members must serve on the commission for 12 months before becoming eligible for the position of chair or vice chair. So all carryover members, Gillum, Gilmore, Martin, Sorrell, and Walter Mangus, are eligible for the position of chair or vice chair. There's nothing in the Heritage Commission bylaws that precludes the Planning Commission representative from serving as the chair or vice chair as long as they served on the Heritage Commission. Last year, the one thing we would know is they haven't appointed somebody yet. So if you were to say, well, we're going to appoint Mr. Sydow, if the Planning Commission decided not to appoint Commissioner Sydow, then that wouldn't work because they haven't served. So your action today is to elect a chair and vice chair to serve. So kind of how you go about that process, you can discuss, you can nominate somebody, and then we'll take 2 separate actions, one to vote for a chair and one to vote for a vice chair.
Okay, thank you.
I move that we retain Kyle Martin as a chair.
Yeah. I'll second that.
Okay, so
All right.
we have a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Martin for a second term as chair of the Heritage Commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Mr. Kyle Martin is the chair for the Heritage Commission for the next year, and we would do the same thing for the vice chair.
I say keep the one we have. Yeah, I'd like to move that we retain Maggie in that role.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second? So we have a motion and a second to retain Miss Maggie Gillum as the vice chair of the Heritage Commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ms. Gillum is the vice chair for the Heritage Commission. So we have retained the same chair and vice chair, and then upon appointment of the Heritage Commission representative at your next meeting, you should have full board membership.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 4, is there any other business?
Staff does not have any additional business. As previously mentioned, we do have a certificate of appropriateness application that has been submitted, and we will staff will work with the board to find a time to schedule that meeting here in the near future. So
Okay.
be on the lookout for correspondence from Daisy for that, but we do not have anything else.
Okay. And then item 5, Dustin, is there anyone on from the public?
We do not have anyone on Zoom from the public, so any comment would be from the room, if Kristen has anything to add.
Okay. All right. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All right, motions. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.